Good morning, and this is our July 13th, 2023 elected council meeting of the Interfaith Council of Contra Costa County. We've added some links to our YouTube channel, including last month's meeting and an EarthFest video presentation that they put together in Interfaith San Ramon Valley. And the upcoming big questions next Monday, will be Reza Sharifzadeh and myself speaking. So you're welcome to email me if you'd like to get on the registration for that meeting next Monday at 2 o'clock. There are some upcoming ICAN events, or iCare events that are around service projects. So take a look at those. Our Meaningful Mondays continues to read Welcome to the Wisdom of the World by Joan Chittister, and we just got through the Hindu section and moving into the Buddhism section. So if you'd like to join us for chapter 6 through 8, our next meeting is at noon on August 7th. We are the Interfaith Council of Contra Costa County, and we're 108 congregations, monasteries, and retreat centers working for the betterment of our community, working against racism and the systems that make people poor and keep people poor. And we will have a welcome from our moderator, Cindy Bilsborough.
Thank you. Welcome all of you today. Thanks for bringing everyone up so I can see you. It's great to see everyone. We're very welcome to have all of you here today. It looks like a good group. I'd like to make sure that all of you have read through the June 8th minutes. And we need to get those minutes approved. Do I have a motion to approve the June 8, 2023 elected council minutes?
Also move it, Cindy.
Okay, great. Second. And a second?
Second.
Who said second? Oh, Sharon, thank you.
We do need someone to take minutes today.
I'm going ahead and taking minutes.
Okay, maybe Dave can help with his minutes and we'll marry the two after the meeting today.
Sounds great. We're now going to proceed with reading of the new proposed covenant. We'll have the first 4 read by Reverend Willie McDaniel and the last 4 by Dennis Wasco. Oh, sorry, we're going to do our land acknowledgement first by Reverend Will McGarvey.
I found a video to help us understand the history of the first inhabitants of our region. And so we encourage you to learn from this short video about the Port Chicago 50, which will have a 79th anniversary commemoration this Saturday at 10 a.m. at Port Chicago.
It is an honor to stand here today on this hallowed ground and reflect on the profound significance of the events that took place 78 years ago. I know some of you are quite familiar with this story, while many of you may be hearing it for the first time. Together, let's revisit the details. Much of this history is not pleasant. It contains truths that are inconvenient for some and uncomfortable for others. But it is vital that we shine a bright light on these aspects of the past, for they hold lessons that are crucial to forging a new path for the future. As World War II raged throughout Europe, the U.S. Navy had already identified the need for an additional munitions shipping depot on the West Coast prior to the surprise attack at Pearl Harbor on December 7th of 1941. Port Chicago Naval Magazine was formally authorized in February 1942, selected as an ideal location for constructing a new large munitions loading base. This was due to its deep water port, which is still utilized by the U.S. Army today, and also its relative isolation from the surrounding population centers, although the small town of Port Chicago was approximately 1.5 miles away. With construction completed in November of 1942, Port Chicago Naval Magazine quickly became a vital link in the delivery chain of ordnance to American forces in the Pacific Theater. The original pier was soon widened so that 2 ships could be loaded simultaneously, greatly increasing the output of tonnage from the base. However, all branches of the armed forces were segregated at this time. Although racially integrated forces did fight in the Revolutionary War, the official U.S. military policy of racial segregation was established in the War of 1812. Since then, with a few notable exceptions, such as the Army's famous Buffalo Soldier cavalry and infantry units, up until the start of World War II, African American soldiers traditionally served as the laborers and menial workers of the American military machine. Even as the Army Air Corps began to experiment with training black pilots who would become the lauded Tuskegee Airmen, the Navy was particularly insistent on maintaining segregated roles within their ranks. Black Navy enlisted men were trained in separate service schools and were not considered qualified or capable of performing higher level tasks. Here at Port Chicago, black sailors were assigned to handle munitions, working around the clock, unloading arriving missiles, ammunition, and bombs from rail cars into and out of storage magazines, and then reloading them back onto cargo ships. White commanding officers oversaw the work and directed the loading operations, but all of the sailors who directly handled the ordnance were black. It was hard work, very physically challenging, especially in the summer heat, and it was also extremely dangerous. Sailors were told that they were handling inactive munitions that lacked detonators, but in reality, they were loading bombs equipped with warheads. The sailors at Port Chicago were performing the same type of work as civilian stevedores, who were highly trained and experienced, but the Navy did not see fit to provide their sailors with any formal instruction in munitions loading or any safety training on how to properly handle sensitive ordnance. To make matters worse, many of the white junior officers overseeing the loading operations emphasized speed above all else, going so far as to race various crews against each other and insisting that they had to maintain loading speeds at an even faster rate than the professional civilian stevedores. The patriotic, dedicated Port Chicago sailors complied with these orders and loaded the Navy ships at an impressive pace, but many of them, as well as some outside observers, knew that this situation was a disaster just waiting to happen. On the night of July 17, 1944, 2 ships were docked here at the loading pier at Port Chicago. The Liberty ship SSEA Bryan had been there for 4 days and was almost loaded to full capacity with ordnance, including shells, cluster bombs, depth charges, 1,000-pound bombs, and sensitive incendiary bombs. The Victory ship SS Quinault Victory had arrived earlier that day and was being rigged for loading, due to begin at midnight. 16 rail cars sat on the pier, containing additional explosives. In all, the munitions on the pier and in the ship contained the equivalent of approximately 2,000 short tons of TNT. At approximately 10:18 p.m., a tremendous explosion occurred, followed seconds later by a much larger blast that reverberated throughout the East Bay, illuminating the night sky with a fireball approximately 3 miles in diameter. The force of the accompanying shockwave was felt for 40 miles, shattering windows as far away as San Francisco. Pieces of glowing hot metal and burning ordnance were sent hurtling over 12,000 feet into the air before raining down on the base and surrounding communities. Seismographs at the University of California, Berkeley registered the shock waves traveling through the ground, measuring the second blast as a 3.4 on the Richter scale, as if it were an earthquake. All 320 men working on or near the pier that day died instantly. They included 202 African American enlisted personnel working as loaders, 9 of their officers, 64 U.S. Maritime Service members who were crewmen on the E.A. Bryan and the Quinault Victory, 33 members of the U.S. Navy Armed Guard, 3 civilian Navy workers, and 3 civilian contractors, 5 Coast Guard fireboat crewmen, and the Marine on guard duty that night. The E.A. Bryant was completely destroyed, and the Quinault Victory was blown out of the water, torn into sections that were thrown in several directions. The pier, along with the boxcars, locomotive, rails, and cargo, were blasted into pieces, and today these pilings are what remains. The Coast Guard fireboat was thrown 600 feet upriver, where it sank. Now, the rest of the base, including the barracks, where many surviving sailors were thrown out of their beds by the explosion, was severely damaged, as was the nearby town of Port Chicago. 90% of this small community's homes sustained damage, along with almost all of its businesses. Although no one outside of this immediate pier area was killed, 390 civilians and military personnel were injured, many of them seriously. Now, as you can imagine, the aftermath of the explosion was horrific for all involved. Surviving personnel had the gruesome task of cleaning up and starting the process of rebuilding the base. Out of the 320 men who were lost, only 51 could be identified. Corpses and body parts littered the bay and the port. Survivors were in a state of shock, traumatized by the disaster and completely on edge. They did not know exactly what had caused the explosion, and that created an extreme amount of anxiety. Incredibly, the Naval Court of Inquiry investigating the cause of the explosion would lay the bulk of the blame at the feet of the black enlisted sailors who lost their lives, stating that they were, quote, neither temperamentally or intellectually capable of handling high explosives, end quote, and that, quote, rough and careless handling of the explosives had likely caused the explosion. Even in the midst of tragedy, the Navy's ingrained discriminatory practices held fast. White officers were granted 30 days survivor's leave, which is given out to sailors who survived a serious incident where their friends or shipmates had died, and were then transferred to other duty. Black sailors, however, were not granted this leave, not even those who had been hospitalized with injuries. Instead, they were transferred to the Naval Barracks in Vallejo, near Mare Island, and 3 weeks later, on August 9th, the 4th, 8th, and 2nd Divisions were ordered to fall in for work. As they reached the junction, where they were then ordered to turn left, down to a ferry to reach the ammunition loading dock, the entire divisions of men stopped cold. They were terrified to return to doing the same dangerous work that had gotten their friends killed, loading munitions in a rushed and unsafe manner without any changes in protocol or procedures. This work stoppage forced the Navy to quickly try to contract civilian stevedores in order to continue to load the ships. Out of 328 men in the 3 divisions, 258 of them refused to handle munitions and were imprisoned for 3 days. After being then threatened with death by firing squad for refusing to follow an order during wartime, which the Navy considered mutinous conduct, 208 of them yielded and, after serving out their time, received bad conduct discharges. However, 50 men, including enlisted man Joe Small, who served as a spokesman for the sailors and was subsequently accused of being a ringleader of the work stoppage, continued to refuse to load munitions. They were all court-martialed and tried in the largest mass mutiny trial in U.S. naval history. This trial made headlines across the country and was thoroughly covered by several nationally circulated black newspapers, as well as the local San Francisco press. The Navy was determined to argue that the work stoppage was a conspiracy amongst the men and therefore constituted mutiny. Despite the best efforts of NAACP attorney Thurgood Marshall, who consulted with the defense and drew widespread media attention to the lax safety practices in place at the base, all 50 men were convicted of mutiny and given prison sentences of 8 to 15 years. Marshall mounted a vigorous legal appeal, garnering even more public support and attention, particularly from the White House. But it was to no avail. The convictions were upheld. After the war, the men were granted clemency, with most of them serving only 1 to 2 years in prison, and many even, ironically, finished out their enlistments on naval ships. However, their convictions still stand today. Despite the outcome of the mutiny trial, the disgraceful working conditions, rampant racial discrimination, and systemic injustices that the trial exposed could no longer be ignored.
Such a powerful history that we have here in our own backyard.
Right.
Many of us that have been here for some time know this history and have been fighting for clemency for the Port Chicago 50. And I would just like to read this quote from Regina Evans, who said, "My ancestors' blood and sweat and tears soaks the land on which I live and soaks the land of this whole nation." So as we do our land acknowledgement, we also recognize the labor in our own county that has also soaked this land. Reverend Willie?
Thank you. That was very impactful. We'd like to go ahead and read the covenant. Reverend McDaniel, would you like to do 1 through 4?
Okay, gladly. In solidarity with one another, we each affirm our gatherings are interfaith gatherings. We come together from diverse communities to be inspired and transformed by the rich diversity of the faith tradition. We commit ourselves to compassionate and active listening as we engage in respectful dialogue. We welcome those who might differ from us, seeking their wisdom and insight. Each of us shares in the privilege of growing in interfaith love and understanding. Our working together for a common cause brings us together in peace.
We are
Dennis, thank you.
We are responsible for the work and outreach of the Interfaith Council of Contra Costa County. The governing board provides the necessary oversight and will be attentive to the elected council's ideas, wisdoms, and suggestions. We will strive to support and participate in various outreach programs sponsored and supported by the Interfaith Council. We hold ourselves to the highest ethical standards as we grow together in trust and respect for one another. Our time together is the practice of interfaith understanding, cooperation, and respect. We hope our time together will bless one another, our community, and the world.
Thank you very much. Our opening faith reflection will be by Sabra and Suharwardy from the Islamic Center of San Ramon Valley. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm going to start with the starting statement. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most kind. O Allah, Lord of all dominions, you give dominion to whom you will and take away dominion from whom you will, and you will exalt whom you will and abase whom you will. Your hand is all good. Surely you're all powerful. You cause the night to pass into the day and the day to pass into the night. You bring forth the living out of the dead, and you bring the dead out of the living, and you give sustenance and to whom you are beyond all recognition. He is Allah, there's no God but He, the knower of the unseen and the manifest. He is the merciful and the most compassionate. There's no God but He, the King, the holy and all peace, the giver of security, the overseer, the most mighty, the overpowering, the all great. Exalted be He, whoever they associate with Him. He is Allah, the planner, executor, and fashioner of creation. His are the names most beautiful. Whatever is in the heavens and the earth extols His glory, and He's most mighty and most wise. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. So next we're going to go to a community report. And this will be by Bendrick Foster, founder of the New Life Movement in Richmond. I actually had the opportunity to go out and meet Bendrick a couple of weeks ago. It was fabulous. Thank you so much. He's a very dynamic person and very committed to his work. And so we'll turn some time over now to Bendrick so he can talk to us about what he's doing for the New Life movement there in Richmond.
Yes, thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you too as well a couple of weeks ago. I wasn't feeling the best for the last week, but I've been continuing to push and just been praying and asking God to bring his healing around me because I know it's so much work for me to do. So I was having a little troubleshoot getting on today, but I'm thank God that we made it happen. Thank you, Gabrielle. Will. And so my name is Bendrick Foster. I'm the founder of New Life Movement, a nonprofit in Richmond, California. My story go back from, my lifestyle, being in Richmond, got caught up in the lifestyle was what I was surrounded in. And God, I tell this story, God woke me up, laying on my mom's couch. And he said, the only way you're going to make it is through me. I'm like, huh? He said, the only way you're going to make it is through me. And so where the same place where I was doing crime and getting in wrong activities, he put a light on me and had me change that same community where I was in. And so growing up in the 7.5 acre, growing up in Richmond in 7.5 acre park, where it was full of drugs and alcohol, where I was dealing activities as well, because growing up, God put it on me to change that whole park. And I wanted to start mentoring to youth right there in the middle of that park, getting drug dealers out the way, pedophiles, and letting kids be able to graduate. It wasn't easy. It took a lot of strength from God, to get a park that's been terrorized for over the last 30 years to say, no, now we're going to bring a new life in that park. And so that's how New Life Movement started. The basketball courts, the whole park was full of needles, paraphernalia all over that park. So I came and started cleaning that whole park out, and I started mentoring the youth. In that same 7.5 acre park, you have an elementary on one end and you have a high school. And so I started seeing a lot of kids were struggling like I was. And so I wanted to support them in the best way I can so they didn't have to go through what I've been through. And so over the years, I've been doing this for the last 8, going on 9 years. Now I'm the president of that neighborhood council now. Thank you, Lord. That's crazy. I'm the president of that neighborhood council now. I'm over 825 homes in that community. So I serve the elderlies, and the young. And one of the things I wanted to do in 2020 during the pandemic, I finally got my own space in downtown Richmond, right across the street from Richmond Kaiser. I invested in my own resource center with no grants, no anything. Me and my wife, we took something out of our home to get that first space, because I know it was very important to have a safe place for these kids and students to be able to come. And so for now, I have 4 contracts in the schools, hiring mentors in the schools to work with intervention specialists there. And now we are building out a new STEM lab next door to that new space to help support the youth as well. One of the things, and then it had nothing to do with money, it was just all about faith. I am a faith-driven person. And when God give me something, I just do it. And so now we opening up a new STEM lab, which Dave and the Interfaith Faith team came and looked at, where I invested, where kids can come in and start their own t-shirt business. Give them something, because every kid is not going to college, but allow me to give them kids something, or students, to be able to reflect on. And I wanted to open up this called Design of the Year program. And this program is so effective and it's so empowerment, because we have to understand that a lot of kids like myself didn't go to college, but they all have gifts. They all have special gifts. And I wanted to help provide that. I seen that was leaving out our community. And I wanted to do like more vocational training. The good news about this, between all this time, I opened up a deli shop. How that happened. With no money, right? I opened up a deli shop right downstairs. I just been praying over that whole building, and the space has just been opening up for me. And if you come down and look at it, it look beautiful. Like it's like it have my logo, the Phoenix. The Phoenix represent for me that God gave me. It represent new life. Oh, thank you. It represent new life. These pictures that you see now, that's me inside the school. If I tell you my miracle, and I'm not proud of it, but I just got to be real. I run my own classroom, and I didn't get to go to that same school to graduate there. Now I have my own classroom at Kennedy High School. This is what you see here now too as well. And so I opened up a deli shop. That deli shop is for vocational training, right? And I'm going to reopen it up. I had it for the last 2 years. I'm proud. It's not even about making no money there. It's about having a space for kids can have a place to come to start their own business. And I just feel like I'm being a real impact in the community. Excuse me for being all over the place today. Please, just, I'm just so excited. And like I said, I wasn't feeling the best, but I had to be here. I thank you, Dave, for coming out with his energy and his team coming out there and seeing, I purchased a party bus, a bus for kids. If you can take a look at that bus, it's like I invested in a bus because I want to let every student know that they are royalty. Every youth know they are royalty, and I want to be able to take them places where they are already seeing. So that was just a quick presentation of what I'm doing in the community and want a partnership with the interfaith group because I am a truly God believer. I'm thank God that the community get to see me. The community know it's a light. This don't have nothing to do with my education. It's got all my end thoughts come from God, and I'm glad it is an impact in our community. And that's as much as I can say. I'm getting excited. I'm just now drinking my tea. I'm just now waking up, and it's an early meeting, but I'm all in for it, y'all.
Thank you, Bendrick. Hey, David's going to share some photos from his visit to your center and the STEM lab.
Thank you so much.
Got it.
Okay, can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's the
All
cafe.
right, so this is the cafe, just a photo of, and look at that phoenix on the wall. That's painted by one of their staff. It's just amazing.
Oh.
Let's see if I can. Let's see. How do I scroll to the next one? Come on, Dave. You got to figure it. Okay, there we go. And this is just looking at the cafe, that's set up in you can see the nice menu there on the wall. Broderick, tell me if this is up and operational. I know you're moving it to operational, but it's looking pretty close to operational, right?
Yes. I'm going to do something today to help imply the food in there as well today. Yes.
Awesome. Well, this is down there's this, it's an office. Well, it's kind of like a retail, kind of a retail center. This is down on the lower floor that's kind of around the street level. And then I think this is still in the cafe, right?
No, that is New Life Movement Resource Center right there.
Okay, now we're up in now we go upstairs up these old wooden stairs that are just kind of a beautiful, kind of this historic building where they're at. It's just kind of an amazing building. So this is the resource center. You can see how it's all painted with these really colorful walls that meant to be bright and cheery for the youth that are there that come in to get training. And Broderick, can you describe the training that you do in these rooms?
Well, I train. It's called Reactions. Doing conflict resolution right there. We do life skills and we do relationship building there. And the most important is we get the students in there to learn how to work together because they come from all parts of the neighborhood. And so and that's what we do there in this center here.
And I think back against the windows, Broderick indicated that he's wanting to add like a big sofa along those windows to kind of have a little lounge for the students, when they're done with their training, and they want to get a big TV on the wall. So if anybody has any idea for donations, that would be great. This is now one of his. This is can't remember this gentleman's name. You're kind of right hand.
That's Paul. Yeah, he
yes,
works
Paul
with
Washington.
students with truancy. Yes.
Yeah, great guy. So this is still in the resource center. Now this is just the room next door, which is going to be the STEM lab. And this is the room that we've kind of decided to do an eye care project in September. I think Cindy's congregation, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Walnut Creek, is going to be one of the sponsors of that. But we're looking for a second sponsor. And what we plan to do is go in there and paint this building kind of bright like the other building, but Broderick has some specific suggestions on how he'd like it painted. So we're going to just scope that up. Bendrick, not Broderick.
It's okay. I do the same thing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so here's looking back the other way in that room. Anyway, this is the screen printer for T-shirts that you got a grant to get this screen printer, right?
Yes, I got a grant from the Department of Education. Department of Education gave me the grant, and that allowed me to purchase the DTG printer. And so we was excited about the first donation we got, and then so yeah, that was perfect.
And then this is the party bus. Look at this.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? It's like one of those, go to the prom kind of buses, and inside it's got these speaker systems that'll blow you away. So it's kind of it's awesome. Yes. Anyway, that was our tour. So thank you, Broderick. It was really
Reverend Julius has something to share.
Oh, awesome. I just wanted to let the council know as well. Thank you so much, Bendrick.
Hey, my man.
And Dave. We've been working on this strategic partnership since the pandemic. And I would like to thank David and the eye care team and everyone who has really helped to bring this partnership to fruition. We've been working, Bendrick can tell you the many, many nights.
Yes.
We're working tirelessly to try to get this partnership. It's imperative that we continue to work with this particular organization and others that are actually really doing the work with our youth. It's very important as a chaplain to make sure that once our youth are released, and when they come in and out, many of them are in and out, we want to make sure that they have safe places that have been fully vetted, that we can in partnership with. And I just wanted to let everyone know that this has been in the making for a while, and we've been working to keep this going and really get some stuff officially established. And we're really looking forward to having a place for our youth as well as they are released, especially those in West County, to have a safe place to go where we can continue to partner and allow our mentors and our people to work and continue to partner with Mr. Foster and what he's doing as well.
Thank you so much, Reverend Julius Van Hook. I thank you too as well. I mean, I just want to pity pack. I know we don't have too much time, but I remember sitting in that center at 2 o'clock in the morning, sketching up things together to help our young youth. So I truly appreciate you. And it was during the pandemic too. And we was continuing to work together to have a safe place for our youth. And now we have grown to a place to now is getting to the last finished touches to have that place for the students. I mean, for youth and people being released from juvenile systems to be there.
Reverend Dr. Dale has his hands up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say good morning, Brother Bendrick. It's good to see you this morning, and I'm thankful you were able to share your story. I just want folk to know Bendrick is, everyone there in Richmond knows Bendrick. And when I came to Richmond, I got an opportunity to meet him. He was always on the street. He was always in the park mentoring the kids. And so I think you just heard a part of his passion coming through this morning. But he is so dedicated. So I'm glad for the opportunity for us to hear his story this morning.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Dale.
Thank you. We so appreciate, Bendrick, you coming and sharing. And I know that you were a little bit lower key today. So
yes.
We'll let you get caffeinated.
we'll expect the full
yes.
The next time, but I appreciate your coming and speaking to us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I was very low key today. I just thank God I'm feeling a lot better today than I did yesterday. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, next we're going to have a committee report from Dennis Wasco regarding ICAN and SOJA. Dennis?
Thanks, Cindy. And thank you, Bendrick. Wonderful work that you're doing. Wonderful. SOJA, I'm the director, the chairman of the SOJA committee, which is involved in all aspects of social justice that the Interfaith Council does. And one of the things that we do and that we're very proud of is the advocacy and working with city councils, working with state government officials, assemblymen, senators, and so on. And one of the key aspects of our work is climate change and working with the California Interfaith Power and Light. And our key person on that from SOJA and the director of ICAN is Jan Warren. And so Jan is going to start us out today with kind of a background, a little bit of background on California Interfaith Power and Light, and then some of the work that we did at the at the Lobby Day in Sacramento. So Jan, go ahead.
Thanks, Dennis, and thanks for the opportunity to be here. I'm really not a director, I'm just a chair or a convener, but I have to say to Bendrick that praise God that he didn't let you go and that you're feeling better. ICAN's been around about 9 years, and we're, pretty much the interfaith, there are lots of interfaith groups, and we are really focused operating through the interfaith lens. The the California Interfaith Power and Light actually began was founded under a model from the Episcopalian folks with Sally Bingham, and then it grew into a statewide group, and now there are 40 affiliates across the country. And they have worked, they're, started out Episcopalian and all faiths and no faiths are part of the group now. And their mission is to inspire and mobilize individuals and communities of faith and conscience to take bold action on climate change. They have worked to help green congregations, whether it's solar or induction stoves or gardens, the whole gamut. We started out when we first met those folks, way back when we were getting rid of the incandescent light bulbs, and they had some grant or something, they were handing them out in congregations, and that's how we got to know them. We became a working group, and they have other working groups in the state. From up north to Marin to Southern California to the Peninsula and Fresno, and always looking for other groups in different areas of the state who want to become part of their working groups. They have over 720 member congregations, 40 state affiliates, and Lobby Day with the Interfaith the California Interfaith Power and Light is not too different from all the lobby days that go on. We go to Sacramento a couple times a year. In between, we visit our individual local assembly and senators. And it was the first time we were back in 4 years. We were meeting with them on Zoom, and you can see the picture of the folks that participated, came from all parts of the state. And they do the hard work of setting up all the meetings. That's super hard for any of you who've ever set up a meeting with your representatives. And then we get to know each other from all over, and we go in and get to visit with either staff or the actual senators or assembly people. And so it's a big part of what we do, advocacy, because change at the top is imperative to get change at the that's faster. Even though it seems slow, it's actually more powerful. We also work a lot with the other climate groups in the area, and we focus, because we live in Contra Costa County, on the refineries and helping move change through the Air District Board. You want me to go into the bills we discussed or something, Dennis, or what do you want to?
Yeah. Just if you could take the Senate bills, and then I'll take the Assembly bills, if that's okay.
Sure. There are over 2,000 bills before the legislature this year, and of course they weren't all climate, but there are a lot of good climate and housing and other bills getting through this year. The three today have actually gone through their House of Origin over to the other house, and they're all in the appropriations of the other house. If we can get them out of appropriations, they'll go to the floor, and from the floor they would go to the governor, and we need to get the governor to sign them. One of them, SB 49, is a renewable energy piece in which Senator Becker, it's his bill, and the idea is to get either solar canopies. Not everyone has access to solar on their roof. They may be renters, they may be multifamily. And so there's an opportunity to get solar that way. And the Department of Transportation, Caltrans, has got a lot of land on and off ramps, and they can actually lease that land out and provide a lot more clean energy through that. So we're working on that. Senator Skinner in the Bay Area, SB 233, bidirectional charging capabilities by 2030. And the idea is we know that we're trying to grow a lot of energy, clean energy fast as we can and get it to the grid. And we know that there's hiccups and the CPUC is not always real helpful, but these bidirectionals will allow people to use their cars to not only, charge them at their house or some other place, then they can be used to give energy back to keep your refrigerator going or whatever during a blackout. And so that's moving well. And the SB 674 is improved fence line monitoring for those who live in communities around our refineries all over the state. And it's been, it's had a lot of loopholes. Not everyone's as strong. This will actually make them stronger. They're going to go after the NOx and the not just the CO2, but the NOx and the hydrogen sulfide and some of these other things that the list is like 11 different toxins. And there's going to be more. The goal is to get more data and data accessible for the public, so the public knows what's going on, what they're breathing, and it's a great bill. The Air District supports it, and those are the ones that we're happy to say we not only went and supported, but are still alive. And so thanks.
So each of you can take the information that's there inside of our agenda, and you can call your elected official or email them asking for their support on some of these Assembly and Senate bills. Right now, the Assembly bills are in front of the Senate, and the Senate bills are before the Assembly. So if you wanted to talk about these three Assembly bills, you would talk to Assemblyperson Grayson or Rebecca Bauer-Cahan or whoever your Assemblyperson is.
Yeah, but we may send out something and say, call your governor. We get these through, the governor, all this work, and we got to get the governor to sign these if we can get them out of appropriations.
Dennis, you want to do the Assembly bills?
Yeah, thanks, Jan. Yes, in regard to the Assembly bills, there are three that we were promoting when we did the visit to the various assembly people at that time. And the first one was the electric school buses by 2035. Believe it or not, the children, believe it, the children are on a school bus 10% of their time of during their day. And there are 24,000 school buses in the state of California. And this bill, what this bill would do is to, currently the children are exposed to the emissions from the diesel buses, the school buses. And in many cases, especially kids who have asthma and other respiratory diseases, they're very, vulnerable to these things. And so the move is to get all of the 24,000 school buses to be emission-free by 2035. So that's the bill, and it's Assembly Bill 579. Another bill is Assembly Bill 631, and that's the Oil and Gas Enforcement and Community Protection. Right now, the monitoring committee, or the monitoring organization from the state, is California Geologic Energy Management Division, or CalGEM. The problem is that they go out to these various areas. In fact, there are 37,000, if you can believe, 37,000 capped oil wells in the state of California. And these have to be maintained and make sure that they are not emitting any pollutants. And so CalGEM goes out to these various areas and checks on them. And in many cases, they find that there have been some violations. The problem is, at the current time, they do not have the authority to take that to a higher court if somebody continues to violate. Excuse me. And so this bill would give them the opportunity to refer these cases to a district attorney, a city attorney, a county attorney, or take it to a higher court. And so that bill would do that. The last bill is from the Assembly, is called Assembly Bill 1567, and it's called the Resilience, especially during extreme heat. And this is part of a bond that you will be seeing more and more of, I'm sure, in the media. It already has appeared. It already has appeared, and it's the bond is going to be to the tune of $15 billion. At least that's the current estimate, and it probably will be on the ballot more than likely next March. And so they're going to be asking us, California Power and Light, Interfaith Power and Light, is going to be asking us and the various congregations to get behind this bill. And what it will do is it will provide climate resilience, especially during extreme heat and so on. It'll provide, especially, and this is key for us in our social justice work, provide funding for low income and disadvantaged communities. And then it'll provide programs to facilitate transitions to clean energy and reduce the risk of forest fires and protection of water resources and so on. So it's going to be a huge, huge bill, probably one of the largest in the state. And again, you'll be seeing more and more of that. So essentially, that's what we did at, I think it was June 22nd at the Lobby Day up in Sacramento. And so we will continue to do this and to support the work of California Interfaith Power and Light. And if you would like in any way to be a part of this, we're always looking for people to join SOJA and to join ICAN. And so see either Will or myself for any information in regard to that. So thank you very much. And thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Dennis. So what we're going to do, did you want to talk about this? Will, you're on mute.
Yes, I've got a couple more things to share as far as just committee reports. We are continuing to have a matching gift of I think it's 10,000 this summer, but if you want to encourage your congregation to give, there's a matching gift that can help double their gift to the Interfaith Council this summer, and we'll be sending out an appeal to each congregation. But if you want to help oil the skids because you know how each of your congregations operate, let folks know that there's a way to double their gifts from 10,000 to 20,000 this summer. And we are, as the Interfaith Council of Contra Costa County, we are part of the Bay Area Interfaith Leadership Council. And for the last year or so, we've been working on 3 PSAs, and we're going to launch them on September 6th at the Interfaith Center of the Presidio that you see in the background. I'm going to share one of them with you now. Please don't share them beyond just our little area here, but we're going to launch them publicly at the Interfaith Center at the Presidio on, I think it's Wednesday, September 6th at noon. And you're welcome to join me there in that launch if you'd like. But here's the anti-Asian hate version of the PSAs that we together used the $10,000 from the United Religions Initiative to be able to produce, and we'll be launching more fully again on September 6th.
Today's attacks against the Asian American community are rooted in a long history of hate, discrimination, and violence.
I grew up in Marin County as a Buddhist. I'm Japanese American. Both of my parents were in the internment camps during the war, so I understand racism.
Pre-pandemic, my maternal grandmother, Yik Oi Huang, was brutally attacked and subsequently died in 2020.
We must break the silence and build towards the beloved community by standing together. We all belong.
We all belong.
We all belong.
So that's just a taste of what we'll be sharing more on September 6th, but I wanted to give you at least that little taste. Cindy, did you want to talk about our dialogue for the day?
Yeah, well, first of all, do we have any other committees that wanted to give a report?
That was all that we had scheduled for today.
Okay, great. Okay, so our dialogue for the day deals with 3 questions. And I thought these were very interesting and very thought-provoking for me. The first is, how does your faith and congregation handle social justice issues? Is it done as a national group, local group, or expected of individuals? How do they do so? Statements, actions, prayers, etc. And I think that's very interesting to see how we as congregations handle that. I know there's always the issue of separation of church and state and things like that. And so how do we handle political issues and those types of things without going over that line, but still dealing with important social justice issues? So do we want to go ahead and split into groups now? I know we're a little early.
Well, let me copy and paste this into your chat room so that you can have these. They're also in your agenda. And let me set up the breakout rooms. And then we'll be able to have small group conversations. Remember, you need to have a reporter to share just the 1 or 2 best ideas from your group. And we'll have 6 different groups, and we'll have sharing of just those top 1 to 2 ideas. But please, if your recorder can capture all of the ideas that you're putting down, please email them to me at interfaithccc@gmail.com, and we will add those to the minutes so that you can see all of the ideas that people had.
Reverend Will, how much time do we have in the breakout rooms? 10 minutes? Is it just 10 minutes? It looks like
it's let's make it 15 minutes and we'll just have a shortened takeaway. Maybe just the top one, since we had more community reports today.
Right.
So let's do 15 minutes. You should have an invitation to join your breakout room.
Address to be in the chat.
Yes, I will.
Please. Bendrick, are you going to have a grand opening that we'll know the date for the grand opening?
Yes, you will.
All right.
I will definitely make sure y'all get the grand opening to come out, and we moving fast, as quick as we can to get this up and running for the new STEM lab. I know David and the Interfaith team is coming in to paint, but I'm still gonna have things up and going. So
I'm talking about the cafe.
Oh, the cafe.
Tell us the address.
322 Harbor Way.
Oh, good old Harbor Way.
322 Harbor Way, Richmond, California, 94801.
All right. So they're in
right
the chat
across
room
the street
for
from
everybody.
Richmond Kaiser.
Oh, okay.
Here we go. We're on to room one. Cynthia Peters, Dennis Wasco, Diane Maltester, Naomi Ehrlich. Who's our reporter? Cynthia, go ahead. Unmute yourself. We can't hear you, Cynthia.
Get it. Okay. So I'm the reporter today, and
what's your top best idea from your group? And we'll share the rest in the minutes.
All right. I believe the top one that really was reported around is that one needs to be careful in terms of speaking out so that it's not too much, too politically motivated. And in other words, maybe making those who are a little bit more conservative think in a thinking way, making them feel uncomfortable. So that really needs to be watched. And then I think there's a lot of good ideas, but I'd say another one is really being inclusive of all. And that is at One Church, Disciples of Christ, for example, mentioned that they have a woman leader, and they've had a trans leader and a Black leader, and they feel that that is a good.
So representation matters too.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Cynthia. Room two, Amelia Zaire, Carolyn Peters, Cindy Bilsborough, David Longhurst. Who's your reporter?
I'll go ahead and talk. We talked about at first about Catholic relief services and how the Catholic Church has been big on charity, but not so big on social justice. And they've been training their people, including Carolyn, in how to approach congressional representatives and compiling topics of interest. The Catholic bishops have been compiling topics of issues to discuss. And I think that's really interesting. The Baha'i community is on the UN and has a voice, real concerned about racial issues. And they have something that they're doing called Our Story is One to talk about justice and equality. In the LDS Church, we have the members take the lead primarily on political issues. We have a very strong humanitarian approach to social justice issues and provide grants and relief and service projects.
And you're big on disaster network. There are 2 LDS members of our county's VOAT.
Yes.
Yeah, room 3, Biff Barnard, Greg Kremenliev, and Jan Warren. Who's your reporter?
Jan, why don't you report? You're on mute.
All right, Bill, how about you? I'm just visiting.
Well, I am too. Greg, why don't you be a reporter?
We don't have a reporter.
Yeah, if I can remember what we said, but no, we
we just did one of your best idea.
Yeah, best idea. Well, you know, I think it's really just you know, getting more just involved, you know, with each other and with our communities, and you know, circles of cooperation, and just you know, just talking and reaching out and being involved.
Thank you. Room 4, Marie Wilson, Okello Michael, Grace, Ronnie Boyd, and Sharon Campton.
I'll speak for our group. We had representation of Pentecostal, United Methodist, Presbyterian Church, USA, and a Unitarian Universalist. The latter, they said that social justice is a central part of their faith and tradition. And so there's a lot of involvement in campaigns, letters, rallies, mailings, ministers and committees that are specifically addressing social justice issues. For the Pentecostal, the talking was not as centralized for the tradition itself, but more independent. And at this point, more work needs to be done. There seems to be a separation of things that are spiritual, not including social justice and welfare issues. And some of that is being addressed.
I'm up there, put my email in there. Hurry up, please.
On an individual basis. And then United Methodist and Presbyterian, there are things happening at national and local levels. More certainly needs to be done relating to race and other social justice issues, but there is progress and movement in those areas as well.
Thank you, Reverend Sharon. Room 5, Rodney, Lemery, Sabra, Suharwardy, and me. Rodney's our reporter.
So I'll report, but I'm sure the other two will correct me if I get anything wrong. So we had representation from Presbyterian, United Church of Christ, Unitarian Universalism, and the Islamic tradition. And I think what we fell on as our key takeaway was that interconnectedness and community connection were vital to the works of justice. And justice, while the UCC and the Unitarian Universalists share the perspective of individual congregations being very, very different from one another, so the justice focus could be very different depending on which UU congregation you're visiting. The tenet of the faith is justice work for Unitarian Universalists. It's a very, as someone already pointed out, it's a very important aspect of our faith. And we shared that, all three of us, in that way. And we also saw a tiny thread of the importance of prayer, that albeit was personal, prayer could be used as a way to build community and bring people together around a particular issue, or create that space of connectivity and interconnectedness that would then foster justice movements.
Thank you, Rodney. Room 6, Bendrick Foster, Del Weatherspoon, and Willie McDaniel. Oh, we got 3 Black clergymen together without being on purpose.
That's what we said. That was how lucky we was to do that.
Well, Pastor Dale served as our leader, and I'm serving as the recorder. We had some active and very powerful dialogue. I thought we came out of that. We both hailed from the Methodist tradition, and our faith teaches that faith without works is dead, and Bendrick highlighted that, and that relates to what we do as individuals, as a group. I think probably the most powerful thing that came out of our meeting was that there is the way to address these social injustices and other issues. You have to partner with community. You have to partner with agencies that have similar interests, because individual might lead, but you have to have community. And Pastor Dale agreed and stated that what they do, and I do the same thing through the NAACP, but we have meetings to educate and to have dialogue and hopefully out of that education and dialogue would come action that will address some of these social ills that we are facing. So that was the gist of, even though there's a lot of other things said, that was pretty much the summation of it, at least in my estimation.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we're finished with our report back. I think we're moving to community.
Okay, yeah, we've got our community announcements. Does anybody have an announcement? I see that the Methodist Church is having a rummage sale on the 28th and 29th.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Okay.
And then also, New Life Movement is having a backpack giveaway August the 12th at JFK Kennedy Park. I will also put that, send that information out too as well.
Okay, fabulous. Any other community announcements?
I have the one that's on the screen. The Rossmore Interfaith Council is putting together a trip to the Hindu temple in Livermore again. Check in with Channing. She's the one that's leading it. It'll be August 5th or 6th from 1 to 3. There's room for a group of 12, so you need to RSVP with her. And I see Ronnie Boyd has their hand up.
Okay, Ronnie?
Yeah, EBHO is having our annual interfaith breakfast, and we're just doing a save the date announcement for August 23rd from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's going to be at Temple Bethel Abraham in Oakland. I can send around an invite when the ticket page is up, so folks can buy their tickets. It should be a good event. It's one of the bigger events of the year that we hold.
Always a good event.
Great to see. Huh?
It's always a good event.
Yes, it's always great to see folks of faith in attendance. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Okay.
Any others?
Okay, we'll
Yeah,
go
I'll just
ahead.
Oh, sorry, Cindy.
Rodney
No,
has
go
one.
ahead.
To lift up and remind everyone of the Interfaith co-sponsored event happening on Sunday virtually at 1 to 2 p.m. where we have invited the Mwekma Oloni chairwoman to deliver a presentation on the struggles of getting federal land recognition here in the Bay Area. And so just the Interfaith Council's calendar has the web link, and if you're interested, please just go ahead and register so that we know you're coming. Again, it's virtual.
And that event is on our website in the events page. There is a button on that where you can submit your event. So if you have an event in your congregation that you want to share with the whole interfaith community, it's on our events calendar. And there's a form button, submit an event. If you just hover your cursor over the link of the events on the website, there's a submit an event link right underneath it. And then people can copy and paste all the information and upload a flyer to it. I approve all of the events that get added to that, and then I know what I can share in the e-blasts. And Amelia has her hand up.
Yeah, hi. We have an event this Saturday. It's part of the Our Story as One campaign, and I did just submit that this morning that hopefully you'll see in the events page. And the topic this time is Lost Women in Science. And if you're interested, you can come. It's in Dublin, California, and it's a brunch/discussion. So that'll be on the 15th at 10:30.
Thank you.
Okay, well, it's been a wonderful event today, meeting with the elected council, hearing from Bendrick and sharing our thoughts with each other. We're going to have a benediction by Reverend Sharon Campton.
Thank you. Many of us are certainly familiar with prayer that we do corporately and individually. I would like to just draw our attention to the importance of blessings. And I am a spiritual care counselor who works with not-for-profit hospice. And so blessings are part of my daily life, more common even than prayers. And I wanted to read to you from one of my go-tos, John O'Donohue. He has a wonderful book called To Bless the Space Between Us. And he says, in the parched deserts of postmodernity, a blessing can be like the discovery of a fresh well. It would be lovely if we could rediscover our power to bless one another. I believe each one of us can bless. When a blessing is invoked, it changes the atmosphere. Some of the plenitude flows into our hearts from the invisible neighborhood of loving kindness. In the light and reverence of blessing, a person or situation becomes illuminated in a completely new way. In a dead wall, a new window opens. In dense darkness, a path starts to glimmer. And into a broken heart, healing falls like morning dew. It is ironic that so often we continue to live like paupers through our inheritance of spirit, though our inheritance of spirit is so vast. The quiet eternal that dwells in our souls is silent and subtle. In the activity of blessing, it emerges to embrace and nurture us. Let us begin to learn how to bless one another. Whenever you give a blessing returns to enfold you. So may we all go forth this day to be a blessing to others, to be mindful and aware of the space we're in, the people we encounter. May we be open to the promptings of spirit and how our lives are so richly blessed and the ability that we have to bestow blessings on one another. May it be so.
Thank you so much, Sharon.
Beautiful.
So I think that's all that we have today. I appreciate the opportunity to see all of you, and I wish you a very wonderful rest of your day. And it looks like here's the calendar.
There's other resources in your agenda, including the summer calendar. Use it as an opportunity to visit a different congregation of a different tradition than your own. Check out some of the recordings that are on our YouTube channel. Just type in Interfaith Council of Contra Costa County. You can find all of the recordings that we have there. You can check out our website to learn about upcoming ICAN events or talk to Dave Longhurst about that. And our next Meaningful Mondays program is on Monday, August 7th at noon, discussing chapter 6 to 8 of Joan Chittister's book, Welcome to the Wisdom of the World. There are even programs on our YouTube channel from Father Tom, like our Coping with Nationalisms program that you're invited to use in your congregation to broaden the conversation and learn a little bit more about the world that we live in. We do belong to each other, and we continue our work envisioning a world of interfaith peace. Blessed be. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to see everybody.
Thank you
all.
This was great.
Thank you, Broderick.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bendrick. That was a great presentation. We can't wait to deepen our relationship with your agency.
Thank you. God bless each and every one of y'all. Appreciate y'all. Okay, bye.
It's a good night for
Take
me
care.
here.
Oh, good night to you, Okello in Uganda. Good to see you, brother.
Nice to see you, Okello.
Thank you, David.
Be well, everyone.
Long time, David.